This is the golden wheel of karma, an inescapable force weaving through the...
Every action causes a ripple effect. This is the nature of karma, a chain reaction where the consequences are inevitable.
Have you ever watched someone slowly destroy their own life just because they refused to learn what the universe was trying to teach them? Today, I'm sharing 5 real Reddit stories that prove karma isn't some mystical force. It's just the consequences of your own actions finally catching up with you. And trust me, these lessons hit harder than anything you'll ever read in a self-help book. Story number 1 is about a guy who thought he could cheat his way to the top. Story 2 will show you why treating service workers badly always comes back to haunt you. Story 3 proves that parents who play favorites usually end up alone. Story 4 is about a cheater who got exposed in the most epic way possible. And story 5, well, that one taught me something powerful. That sometimes, the best revenge is just walking away and letting karma do its thing. So stick around, because these stories are absolutely wild. Story 1, the promotion thief. So, this story comes from a software engineer. Let's call him Mike. Mike worked at a tech company for 6 years, grinding every single day. He was that guy, the one who stayed late, fixed everyone's bugs, mentored new hires, basically the reason the whole department ran so smoothly. When a senior developer position opened up, everyone, even his manager, told him it was basically his job. Mike had the skills, the experience, the track record, everything. But here's where it gets messy. There was this other guy, Jake. He'd only been at the company for 2 years. Smooth talker, charming, always saying the right things to impress the executives. But honestly, his coding skills were average, at best. Jake found out that Mike was working on a revolutionary algorithm, something that could save the company millions in processing costs. And Mike, being the team player he was, shared his work in progress with Jake during a code review session. Big mistake. 2 weeks before the promotion decision, Jake scheduled a private meeting with the CTO, and in that meeting, he presented Mike's algorithm as his own. He'd tweaked it just enough to make it look original, but it was 90% Mike's code. The CTO was blown away, offered Jake the senior position on the spot, with a massive raise, and Jake, he accepted, didn't even blink. Mike found out when HR sent a company-wide email, congratulating Jake on his promotion and his innovative algorithm. He was devastated. He confronted Jake privately, but Jake just smirked and said, "That's how the corporate world works. Man, you snooze, you lose." Mike thought about going to HR, but Jake had covered his tracks too well. It would have been his word against Jake's. So, Mike did something brilliant. He didn't get angry, didn't make a scene. He just started documenting everything. Quietly, he began working on phase 2 of his algorithm, something even more advanced. Meanwhile, Jake was struggling. He barely understood the code he'd stolen. So when bugs started popping up, he couldn't fix them. Projects started missing deadlines. Clients complained. And Jake kept promising solutions, but never delivered. 6 months later, Mike completed phase 2. It was phenomenal. Could handle 10 times the data load. But instead of sharing it with his company, Mike had been interviewing elsewhere. A rival company offered him a senior architect position, double his salary, plus stock options. He accepted, gave his 2 weeks notice, and that's when karma finally stepped in. During his exit interview, Mike casually mentioned to HR that he had proof Jake had stolen his original work, emails, timestamps, everything. HR investigated, and guess what? Mike was right. Jake got fired. Not just fired, blacklisted. Word spread fast through the tech industry. Jake couldn't find another job for over a year. And eventually, he had to move back in with his parents. Meanwhile, Mike thrived at his new company. His algorithm became the foundation of a product that made his new employer millions. He got promoted twice, in just 3 years. Now he's a VP, making more money than he ever dreamed of. And Jake, last Mike heard, he was working at a call center, trying to rebuild his reputation, one customer complaint at a time. The lesson here: karma doesn't always strike immediately. Sometimes it takes months, sometimes years, but eventually, people who succeed through dishonesty always get exposed. And the ones who stay true, who focus on growth, on integrity, on doing the right thing, They win in the long run. Mike could have gotten bitter. He could have quit, but instead, he channeled that energy into becoming undeniable. Story 2, The Rude Customer. This one comes from a woman who worked as a barista. Let's call her Sarah. Sarah worked at a popular coffee shop in a busy downtown area. Every morning, this one regular customer would come in. Let's call him Richard. And Richard was the worst kind of customer. Entitled, rude, condescending. He'd snap his fingers at Sarah. Never said please, or thank you. He'd complain about everything. The coffee's too hot. The coffee's too cold. Too much foam. Not enough foam. He'd mock Sarah's appearance. Tell her to smile more. Even say things like, "You're too stupid to do anything better than serve coffee." But Sarah needed the job. She was putting herself through nursing school. Working 2 jobs. Barely sleeping. And still. She stayed professional. Always smiled. Even when Richard made her want to cry. Her co-workers saw it all. Everyone hated him. But he spent a lot of money. So management refused to ban him. One day, Richard was being particularly nasty. Sarah had accidentally given him whole milk instead of almond milk. An honest mistake. But Richard, he completely lost it. He started yelling right there, in front of the whole cafe, called her incompetent, said she'd never amount to anything, screamed at people like her. Were what's wrong with minimum wage workers. Sarah apologized over and over, offered to remake the drink, but Richard threw the coffee at her, not at her face, but right at her apron. Still, it splashed and burned her arm a little. The whole cafe went silent. Sarah didn't lash out. She kept her composure, cleaned herself up, and quietly remade his drink. Richard grabbed it and stormed out without another word. Her manager finally told her she could refuse to serve him next time, but the damage was already done. Sarah went to the bathroom and cried. Fast forward 2 years. Sarah graduated nursing school with honors. She got a job at one of the best hospitals in the city. One night, she's working a shift in the emergency room, when guess who gets wheeled in? Richard. He'd been in a car accident. Nothing like, but bad enough. A few broken ribs. Some cuts. He needed stitches. He was in a lot of pain. At first he didn't recognize her. She looked different now. Scrubs on, hairpulledback.com, focused, professional.com. But Sarah, she recognized him immediately. Her first instinct was satisfaction. Karma had literally delivered him right to her. But then, her training kicked in. She was a nurse now. She'd taken an oath. Sarah treated Richard with complete professionalism. She was gentle, efficient, explaining everything she was doing. Richard was vulnerable in pain, scared, and Sarah could have been cold. She could have been rough with those stitches, could have said something sharp, something to remind him who she was, but she didn't. She just did her job perfectly. It wasn't until the very end, when Sarah was updating his chart, that Richard really looked at her. His eyes went wide, and you could see the recognition hit him. He went pale, opened his mouth to speak, but no words came out. Sarah just smiled. That same calm, professional smile she'd given him hundreds of times at the coffee shop. "Take care, Mr. Richard," she said softly. "We'll have your discharge papers ready soon." Richard tried to apologize. Started stammering about how he was sorry. How he'd been going through a divorce back then. How he was stressed. How he didn't mean those things. Sarah simply said, "We all have bad days. Hope you feel better." And she walked away. Here's the thing. Sarah didn't need revenge. She didn't need to be cruel. The situation itself was the karma. Richard had to lie there, helpless, while someone he'd treated like garbage took care of him, with more kindness than he'd ever shown her. That realization, that guilt, was heavier than anything Sarah could have said or done. Later, she told this story to her coworkers. She said it taught her something powerful. That how you treat people, especially those in service positions, says everything about your character. You never know when those same people might be in a position to help you or hurt you. But more importantly, you should treat people well, because it's the right thing to do, not because you might need them someday. The lesson: treat everyone with respect, not because of what they can do for you, but because that's what good humans do. Karma has a funny way of putting us exactly where we need to be, to learn what we once refused to understand. Story 3. The Golden Child. This one's heavy. It comes from a guy, let's call him David. David grew up with a younger sister named Emma, and their parents, especially their mom, had a clear favorite, Emma. Emma got the better presents, the bigger bedroom, the constant praise. David's achievements, barely even acknowledged. When David got a B, his mom said, "Why not an A?" When Emma got a C, she said, "Oh well, you tried your best." And that pattern never stopped. It followed them into adulthood. David paid his own way through college, worked multiple jobs, graduated with honors. Emma dropped out after one semester. Parents paid for everything, didn't care. When David got married, his parents contributed $3,000. When Emma got married, they spent $40,000. David bought his first house with his wife, saved for years. His parents didn't even show up for the housewarming. Emma wanted a house. They gave her the down payment. When David and his wife had their first child, a little girl, his parents visited once, for a few hours. When Emma had a baby, his parents practically moved in, stayed for months, helping, cooking, babysitting, everything. It broke David's heart. But he kept trying, kept reaching out, kept inviting them to family dinners, holidays, hoping, one day, they'd finally see him. Then life hit hard. David's wife was diagnosed with cancer, stage 3. She needed aggressive treatment. David was drowning, working full-time, taking care of their daughter, dealing with insurance, medical bills, driving his wife to chemo appointments. He called his parents one night, crying, asked if they could help, maybe watch their granddaughter a few days a week, or even help a little with expenses. His mom said, they were really busy helping Emma remodel her kitchen. Maybe, in a few months. That's when David broke. He said, "You know what? I've spent my entire life trying to earn your love, trying to be good enough, and I'm done." His dad said, "David, you're being dramatic. Emma needs us." And David said quietly, "I need you." His mom's voice didn't even shake. She just said, "Emma needs us more. She's not as strong as you." That was it. David hung up. No more calls, no visits, no holiday cards. And the saddest part, his parents didn't even notice. For weeks, when they finally did call, David told them he was done, unless they were willing to acknowledge how they'd treated him, and genuinely try to change. They weren't welcome in his life. His mom cried, said he was being cruel. His dad said, family is family. You can't just quit. David said quietly, watch me. 2 years went by. David's wife beat cancer. They made it through the hardest time of their lives, without his parents. Meanwhile, Emma kept getting handouts. Mom and Dad paid her mortgage when she lost her job, paid for her kids' private school, even bought her a new car. And then, time did what time always does. The parents got older. David's dad had a stroke, needed serious care. Mom couldn't handle it alone. So, she called Emma, the golden child, the one they'd given everything to. But Emma said she couldn't possibly help. She had her own family, her own life. Maybe they should look into a nursing home. So Mom called David, sobbing, begging, please, David, we need you. Can you come help? David said, no. His mom cried, but, we're your parents. And David said, you were my parents. When I needed you. Where were you when my wife was dying? Where were you when I was drowning? I told you what I needed. To heal this relationship. You chose not to do it. Mom tried to guilt him. Said, Emma can't help. We need you. David took a deep breath, and said, that's interesting. The golden child can't be bothered. And now you need the son you ignored. Your whole life. David didn't help. His parents eventually ended up in assisted living. Emma visits, maybe once a month. David sends a card on birthdays. Nothing more. They lost both their children. In different ways. Emma, because she was so entitled. She couldn't step up when it really mattered. And David, because they pushed him away. One dismissal at a time. The lesson here. Favoritism destroys families. When you make your love conditional, when you only invest in the child who demands more, or who needs you more, you end up losing the strong one, the reliable one, the one who would have been there when it really mattered. And when you finally need them, they'll remember every single time you weren't there for them. Karma in family dynamics is brutal, because you don't just lose money or a job, you lose relationships you can never get back. David said the hardest part was letting go of the hope that they'd ever change. But once he did, once he accepted they'd never be the parents he needed, he found peace. He built his own family, with his wife, his daughter, and friends who became family. And his parents, they got exactly what they invested in. Nothing. Story 4. The Cheating Fiancé. This one's savage. It comes from a woman. Let's call her Lisa. Lisa was engaged to her high school sweetheart, Tom. They'd been together for 8 years. Everyone thought they were perfect. Couple goals, all that. Tom was charming, successful, worked in finance. They were planning this huge wedding. 200 guests, destination venue, the works. 3 months before the wedding, Lisa was using Tom's laptop. Hers was broken, and she just needed to check her email. Tom was in the shower. Then, a message popped up, a notification from someone named Amber. Lisa didn't recognize the name. The preview said, "Can't wait to see you tonight." Her stomach dropped. She clicked. 2 years. Tom had been having an affair with Amber for 2 years. Amber was a woman he worked with. And the messages were graphic. Plans to meet up. Tom telling Amber he loved her. Amber asking when he was going to leave Lisa. And then Lisa read the part that broke her completely. Tom said, "Soon, baby, soon. Just gotta get through this wedding. Then I'll have access to her trust fund. Then we can be together." Lisa felt like she'd been punched. Her trust fund. Tom was marrying her for money, planning to divorce her after and take half. He didn't love her, maybe. He never did. She scrolled back through months of messages. Tom and Amber laughing about her, calling her naive, stupid, easy to manipulate. Lisa didn't confront him right away. She was smart. She screenshot everything, sent it all to herself, then deleted every trace from his laptop. After that, she called her lawyer. Well, her dad's lawyer, actually. She updated her trust, made sure Tom would have zero access to it, even if they got married. She also started documenting all their shared assets. Then, Lisa planned her revenge. She kept planning the wedding, acted completely normal. Tom had no idea. 3 weeks before the big day, all the guests had booked flights. Hotels were paid for. The venue was locked in. Lisa's family had spent probably $60,000 on this wedding. The day of the rehearsal dinner, Lisa had a surprise. She told everyone she'd made a little video. A love story for Tom. A special moment before the wedding. Everyone gathered. The lights dimmed. The video started. At first, it was sweet. Photos of Lisa and Tom through the years. Vacations, birthdays, memories. Everyone was smiling, awing. Then, the screenshots appeared. Messages between Tom and Amber, blown up across the huge screen. Tom saying he was using Lisa. Amber asking about the money. Tom mocking Lisa's appearance, her personality, everything. The room went silent. Dead silent. Tom's face went white. He tried to rush forward, to turn it off. But Lisa's brothers stepped in front of him. The video kept playing. 2 solid minutes of proof. Every word, every lie. Tom's parents were there. His grandparents. Even his boss. All of them watching him get exposed. When it ended, Lisa stood up, calm, collected. She took off her engagement ring, looked him straight in the eyes, and said, "Tom, you're a cheating, lying fraud. This wedding, it's cancelled. But since everyone's already here, please enjoy the food and the open bar. It's all paid for. Consider it a party celebrating me dodging a bullet." Then she walked out. The fallout was nuclear. Tom tried to explain, but there was no explaining that. Everyone had seen the proof. His parents were mortified. His grandmother was crying. Amber, who Tom had actually brought as his +1, ran out of the room the moment her face hit the screen. Tom's boss pulled him aside afterward. Apparently, there were company rules about relationships with co-workers. Tom got fired. The next week, Lisa's family rallied around her. Her dad made sure everyone knew what Tom had done. Their entire social circle completely ostracized him. Amber dumped him immediately once she realized there was no money. Tom tried to apologize, sent flowers, letters, even showed up at Lisa's apartment. Lisa got a restraining order. A year later, Lisa heard through mutual friends that Tom was miserable, living back at home with his parents, working a dead-end job, his reputation absolutely destroyed. He tried dating, but no one would go near him. In their city, everyone knew what he'd done. Meanwhile, Lisa thrived. She traveled. She went to therapy. She healed. She started her own business. And eventually, she met someone new. A man who actually loved her. For her. They got engaged. This time, to someone real. The lesson. If you're going to betray someone, especially someone who loved you fully, be prepared for them to be smarter than you think. Lisa could have called off the wedding quietly, but Tom deserved public humiliation. He'd planned to humiliate her. To take her money. To waste years of her life. He got exactly what he deserved. That's karma. You don't get to destroy someone's life. Without consequences. Story 5, The Patient Walk Away. Last story. This one's mine. Not from Reddit. From my own life. And it taught me the most important karma lesson of all. Sometimes, you don't need to do anything. I had a best friend. Let's call her Maya. We'd been friends since college. 10 years of laughter, heartbreak, inside jokes. She was there through my worst moments. My breakups. My job losses. My dad's death. And I was there for her too, always. Helped her move. Lent her money. Watched her kids. Even let her live with me rent-free for 3 months when she lost her apartment. That's how close we were. Then, I started dating someone seriously. Let's call him Alex. Alex was great. We clicked immediately. At first, Maya seemed happy for me. But then, things started to shift. Little comments here and there. You've changed. You never have time for me anymore. Which wasn't true. I still made time for her. I just had someone else in my life now too. Then it got worse. Maya started texting Alex. Behind my back. At first it was innocent, friendly, then flirty. She'd send him memes. Inside jokes. Invite him to hang out without me. When I found out and confronted her, she called me paranoid, jealous, insecure, said she was just being friendly. I set a boundary, told her it made me uncomfortable, asked her to stop. She agreed. Then did it anyway. I found out she'd invited Alex to a party, and didn't invite me. When I confronted her again, she exploded. Said I'd changed, that I was the problem, that she should be allowed to be friends with my boyfriend too, and that I was being controlling. That was it. Something inside me just clicked. I realized Maya didn't respect me, didn't respect my boundaries. She was so used to me being the giver, the reliable one, that the moment I asked for something back, she couldn't handle it. So, I walked away. Told her I needed space. She said fine, like she was doing me a favor. I blocked her number, her social media. Went cold turkey, and it hurt. Like losing a sister. I grieved that friendship. But here's where karma came in. I didn't badmouth her, didn't try to turn people against her. I just quietly stepped back. And people noticed. They noticed I wasn't around anymore. And when they asked, I just said, Maya and I grew apart. No drama. No story. Eventually, people started asking her what happened. And Maya, being Maya, couldn't help herself. She started telling everyone her version. That I had ditched her for a guy. That I was a bad friend. But our mutual friends knew me. They knew that didn't sound like me. So they started asking more questions. And the more they asked, the more defensive Maya got. Until she started talking badly about me. Really badly. And that's when people started seeing who Maya really was. Without me there. Managing her moods. Smoothing things over. Keeping the peace. People saw her patterns. She'd get drunk at parties. And get mean. She borrowed money from other friends. And never paid it back. She flirted with people's partners. Slowly, our friend group started to distance themselves. One by one, they backed away. Within a year, Maya had burned almost every bridge. She'd cycle through friends. Use them up. Move on. Eventually, people started warning each other about her. She tried reaching out to me once. Sent a long apology text. But it was one of those "I'm sorry you felt that way" kind of apologies. Not a real one. I didn't respond. 2 years later, I heard she'd moved to another city. A fresh start. Probably running from the same problems she created. As for me, Alex and I eventually broke up. That relationship just ran its course. But I learned something valuable. Sometimes, the best thing you can do when someone mistreats you is just remove yourself. Don't seek revenge. Don't try to expose them. Just step back and let their own behavior speak for itself. Maya's karma wasn't some big, dramatic event. It wasn't lightning striking or a public downfall. Her karma was her own pattern catching up with her. She lost friendships. She lost community. She lost people who would have been there for her because she couldn't appreciate them when she had them. The lesson: not all karma is loud. Sometimes it's just natural consequences. Sometimes people who use others eventually run out of people to use. Karma, and the best revenge is building a beautiful life without them. So those are my 5 karma lessons. 1. Don't cheat or steal your way to success, because the truth always comes out. To treat everyone with respect. You never know when life will flip the roles. 3. Don't play favorites, and don't take people for granted, because one day, they'll stop waiting for you to notice. 4. If you betray someone, don't be surprised when they make sure the world sees who you really are. And 5. Sometimes, the best thing you can do is walk away and let karma handle the rest. Now I want to hear from you. Have you ever experienced karma in your own life? Either giving it or receiving it. What's the biggest karma lesson you've learned? Drop your stories in the comments below. And if you enjoyed these stories, hit that like button. Subscribe for more real talk content. And tell me what kind of stories you want to hear next. Should I do more karma stories? Or switch it up a little? Let me know down below. Thanks for watching. And remember, what goes around really does come back around.